once you get here, you remember here is wherever you are. It's always here. Perhaps you could say calmness and peace is the background in which the ever-changing content dances in front of. Moreover, the calmness and peace isn't necessarily separate from the ever-changing foreground. It's as if the ever-changing foreground, the content of our experience, springs forth or is birthed from this calmness and peace. And even our body, emotions, and thoughts are a part of this ever-changing foreground. Typically, we identify, believe that our body, emotions, and/or thoughts are us. But when we get here and remember, so to speak, the calmness and peace that is in the background, we remember, oh, the body, emotions, and thoughts are actually only the outermost expression of ourself. And that there's a deeper self that we're referring to now as calmness and peace. When we find ourselves being pulled back towards the content of experience, the ever-changing foreground of experience, including our body, emotions, thoughts, our to-do list, our work, our relationships. It feels like we have to sacrifice ourself, sacrifice our deepest expression, calmness, peace, in order to participate in being a human, everyday life activities. In order to participate in this body, emotions, and thought, interacting and relating with others in the world, it feels like we have to sacrifice ourselves, sacrifice the innermost expression of peace and calmness in exchange for the outermost expression. What we believe our life to be. But what is our motivation for this sacrifice? If we already have everything we want prior to the sacrifice. calmness and peace, the knowing of our innermost being, then what would be our motivation to move towards this outermost expression? To forget our safety and clarity and understanding and contentment. In exchange for the search. Re-entering the search. Re-entering to the game of the search. It's so simple. Perhaps it can be broken down into one consideration. When I choose to perform an activity or function that would typically bring me back into the foreground, are my motives to serve me, or are my motives to serve the other? And to experiment with that energy for a while, to see what that energy produces. Perhaps when we lose the peace and calmness of the background, and we sacrifice it in exchange for the world in the foreground, that sacrifice is only due to the seeking benefit, personal gain. What if we can stay in the background, so to speak, by every thought, word, and action, the motivation of every thought, word, and action being considered in the light of, does this benefit me? Does this thought, word, or action, is it benefiting me? Or does this thought, word, or action benefit the other? Perhaps that's the secret to continuing to rest in the background as our truest expression of calmness and peace. If this were the case, there would be nothing to become uncalm or unpeaceful about, because there could be no loss. Loss could only occur as a result of the acquisition or lack thereof of personal benefit. Whereas if every thought, word, and action, the motivation of every thought, word, and action was considered around was chosen, the motivation of every thought, word, and action was chosen based upon this being for the welfare and benefit of myself, or the welfare and benefit of another. There would be no self left in the foreground in which to separate our self in the background from. There'd be no foreground self left to separate our background self from. There'd be no foreground self left to separate us from the background self. The foreground self is the consideration of a personal, separate me. The background self is the knowledge of I am we. Experiment with that energy. Please like and leave your comments below if you like. Namaste.